Rachel Harkin, played by Camilla Morrone, heading down the aisle toward her fiancé, Nikki Cunningham, Adam DiMarco. It's supposed to be her big moment, right? But she's terrified, her face says it all. When Nikki lifts her veil and slips the ring on her finger, the screen goes black. Turns out, this wedding hasn't happened yet. It's a flash forward, and it instantly tells you something messed up is brewing. Jump back 5 days. Rachel and Nikki are driving out to his family's isolated house for their wedding. Even from the start, the trip feels off. Rachel almost crashes the car because she's nodding off at the wheel. As they drive, they listen to some creepy podcast about a serial killer named Larry Poole who slit someone's throat. Later on, they stop at a diner, where the locals gossip about dogs disappearing around town. That night, they stop at a rest area and spot a frost-covered car with a baby locked inside, crying. Nikki stays with the kid while Rachel tries to find help. Inside the bathroom, she discovers a kid's stiletto heel, and horrifyingly, a dead dog stuffed in a busted toilet. The vibe changes, and now things start feeling seriously wrong. Rachel can't get a phone signal, so she heads down the road and stumbles on an odd bar called the Swan Dive. She has a disturbing run-in in the restroom, before an eerie old man, known only as the witness, corners her. He asks, "Are you sure he's the one?" She freaks out and jams her car key into his hand before bolting. When Rachel gets back to the rest area, Nikki's beaten up and the baby's gone, along with the car. He claims the baby's parents came back, thought he was snatching the kid, beat him up and took off. Rachel doesn't buy it, but she's desperate enough to say nothing. They finally make it to the Cunningham estate, but that sinking feeling just keeps growing. The house is full of taxidermied dead dogs, and the family cautions Rachel, don't look them in the eyes. Later, Nikki's sister Portia tells Rachel a freaky local legend, the sorry man. He believes his missing wife is trapped inside other women, so he cuts them open trying to find her. With Rachel getting a sudden nosebleed, she opens her wedding invitation and scrawled on the back are the words, "Don't marry HIM." 4 days before the wedding, and the tension inside the Cunningham estate somehow gets even heavier. Dinner is especially awkward. Mrs. Cunningham delivers this creepy toast about marriage and immortality, warning everyone that a bad marriage can turn ugly fast. And then out of nowhere, Jules starts making weird slurping noises at the table, making everyone super uneasy. Later, Rachel notices her wedding dress is missing. She freaks out because she's sure she packed it, but the family acts like it's no big deal. Nikki thinks she might have left it at a friend's place in Cleveland, so he heads off alone to try and get it, leaving Rachel stuck with his family. Victoria doesn't waste time. She pushes Rachel to try on her own old wedding dress. During the fitting, Portia shrugs off Rachel's necklace and drops the bomb that their small wedding will actually have over 100 guests. She also comes right out and tells Rachel she probably won't even notice not having her parents there to give her away. After the fitting, Rachel wanders through the house and stumbles across some bizarre clues. Books about supernatural rituals, a lethal injection of pentabarbital sodium stashed in Jules' closet, and even a bit of her missing dress outside Portia's room. That night, Rachel hears the buzz of a generator and follows it out into the snowy woods. There she finds her dress hanging from a haunting stick effigy, with Boris digging what looks exactly like a grave nearby. Terrified, she calls Nikki, telling him his family doesn't care who gets married, they just want someone to walk down the aisle. Before she can leave, Jules finds her and the family finally explains what's really going on. Victoria is dying from a fast-growing brain tumor, the drugs are for her planned euthanasia, and the grave is meant for her ashes. Nikki is furious they kept it secret from him. It doesn't end there. Jules confesses that his son Jude moved Rachel's dress to the effigy because he thought Rachel's bloody nose meant she'd been marked by the sorry man. Jules tries to convince Jude the sorry man isn't real by making him repeat it. Rachel is scrambling to clean up after the whole Victoria mess. She gets a custom cake that says, "Sorry I thought you were going to kill me," and throws herself into these almost desperate attempts at politeness. She even writes down everybody's food preferences for the wedding, as if keeping track makes everything normal again. You can feel her losing her grip, so she tries even harder to fit in. Inside, nobody wants to talk. Portia shuts down any mention of Victoria. Boris holes up with his taxidermy in the basement, avoiding everyone. Rachel pushes anyway. She leans on her training in behavioral psychology and pretty much forces the family into a group therapy session. They don't want to, but they go along with it. For once, they're blunt about their grief and fears and all the things nobody wants to say out loud. It's awkward, it's fragile, but it's the first real moment they've shared. Meanwhile, there's something else going on in that house. The tall intruder slips inside. Suddenly, the show drops you into his point of view. He creeps through the mansion's hallways, breathing heavy, watching from the shadows while the family stays clueless. He's not just lurking outside, he's in. That night, everyone heads outside for a bonfire ritual. The fire blazes, people chant, the nerves are raw, Nikki snaps. He can't handle his mom's talk of euthanasia and he lashes out at Rachel. The pressure keeps building. Jude runs around filming, his camcorder capturing the gloom, and suddenly a face appears right in frame. The intruder is done hiding. Rachel's grabbed out of her bedroom at the Cunningham estate. Someone chloroforms her, and she's gone before anyone hears a thing. Back inside, Jude shows Jules the footage he caught on his camcorder, the intruder moving like a shadow through the halls. Jules can barely keep it together, and when Jude asks if it's the sorry man, you can see Jules snap. The past is suddenly way too close. Rachel wakes up and finds out her kidnapper is actually her estranged dad, Jay Harlon, Josh Hamilton. Not exactly a warm family reunion. Jay doesn't wait. He sits her down and makes her watch an old camcorder tape from 1997. It's his wedding day with Rachel's mom, Alexandra. Alexandra is super pregnant. The whole vibe's uneasy right from the start, especially when someone filming the wedding asks Alexandra, "Are you sure he's the one?" At the cabin, things get awful. Alexandra's health starts failing fast. During the slow dance, her nose bleeds, then suddenly she's gushing blood from everywhere. It's shocking and messy. She collapses and with her last bit of strength looks at Jay and says, "You have to tell her." Jay's panicked and desperate. He grabs a pocket knife and does an emergency C-section right there. That's how Rachel comes into the world, pulled from her dying mother. Here, where the sorry man legend cracks open, turns out it's not some monster. It's a distorted childhood memory. Jules, as a little kid, saw that horrible wedding night while hiding under the bed. Trauma turned what she saw into a monster. Rachel manages to escape and runs into the witness, the same guy she stabbed outside the bar earlier in the show. He lays it all out. A bride in the family's past made a deal with death to bring her groom back to life. The price: if any bride in their line ever doubts her soulmate, she dies horribly on her wedding night. The witness is cursed too. He's that original groom, now immortal and doomed to watch every single wedding in the bloodline. It's not an act of revenge, it's punishment. Rachel isn't being hunted, she's being prepared. If she marries Nicky and he's not truly the one, she'll die on her wedding night just like the others. Rachel and Jules are driving through a brutal snowstorm back to the Cunningham estate after meeting the witness. Rachel's rattled, but instead of backing off from Nicky, she doubles down on the idea that he's the one. When Jules presses her, how sure is she really? Rachel says 92%. Jules isn't having it. She tells her flat out, "You shouldn't marry someone unless you're absolutely sure." Rachel pretends to listen, but then she shoves the marriage certificate into a drawer, trying to hide from what's already in motion. The next morning, the rehearsal dinner hangs in the air, thick with tension. Rachel and Nicky sneak outside for a cigarette, pretending everything's fine. She kisses him, almost desperate to hang on. Nicky tries to joke his way out of the moment, telling her about a dream where she turns into a tarantula and leaves him stranded at the altar. Behind the joke, he's obviously scared. Later, the party's in full swing inside the big old house. Victoria and Boris give a toast that somehow feels heartwarming and ominous at the same time. People crowd in, tossing unsolicited advice about marriage like confetti. It all feels smothering. Then someone asks how Rachel and Nicky met. Rachel goes with it, painting a dreamy scene at the Austin airport, talking about a weird feeling she had, a premonition of a plane crash, and how Nicky saved her by offering to drive instead. For a second, it feels like fate, but Nicky bursts that bubble. He jumps in, correcting her story. Suddenly, the truth is out. Turns out, Nicky was in Austin because he'd just been dumped. He was supposed to go to a different wedding with someone else. He tells everyone he only hung out with Rachel because he didn't want to be alone. He even brushes off her whole premonition as nothing. And as if that's not enough, he drops another bomb. He invited Rachel's estranged dad to the wedding without saying a word to her. Rachel falls apart as everything she believed about their story unravels in front of everyone. In the morning after everything at the rehearsal dinner falls apart, she shakes Nell Cunningham awake and drags her to the county clerk's office, even though it's Saturday. Nell's unsure, but Rachel won't back down. She finds a way in, lockpicking and all. They tear through the Harkin family records and there it is, a repeating pattern. Cassie Harkin died the day she got married in 1997. Roger Harkin had the same fate back in 1941. Both went out at the same time, both from a sudden hemorrhage. Meanwhile, out in the snowy woods, Nicky's setting traps with Boris and Jules. Nicky presses Jules about revealing how he and Rachel really met. The tension breaks whatever uneasy peace they had. Suddenly, a trap springs nearby. They rush over and find a fox, but it's just a severed leg, limp in the snow. The rest of the animal is gone, unfinished, almost like something still lurking out there. Back in the archives, Rachel and Nell stumble across something different. Arlene Harkin got married, but her death isn't anywhere in the records. No body, no confirmation, just nothing. For the first time, Rachel sees a crack in the curse. If Arlene survived, maybe there's a way out. Rachel isn't wasting a second. She hijacks what was supposed to be her bachelorette party and turns it into a seance. She ropes Portia into helping, dragging out a spirit board to try and reach Arlene. The mood in the room shifts fast. It's no longer a party, but something darker. The wine spills, everyone goes quiet, and Rachel asks the question straight up. Is Nikki really her soulmate? The answer is clear, even in the hush that follows. The curse still has power, and it's telling Rachel that marrying Nikki is a death sentence. Rachel and Nikki are getting dressed for their wedding, but there's nothing festive about it. They talk quietly, there's this heaviness in their words, the kind that sits between them because of the curse they now understand. No one's holding on to dreams of some perfect day. They both get it, they're walking into danger together. They push ahead, not because they're sure, but because there's this thin hope that they might make it through. The guests drift into the Cunningham estate, and then the witness arrives. Everything changes right away. He moves through the house almost like a ghost, always there, always tied to the curse, and every warning Rachel's ever gotten. There's no need for anyone to ask why he's come. Just him being there means something is seriously off. Rachel catches him alone, and the air practically crackles. The conversation is calm, but you can feel the strain. He lays out the curse in blunt terms. She needs to know, absolutely know, who her soulmate is. She has 1 hour. The sun goes down, and if she picks wrong, she doesn't just lose her wedding, she loses her life. No room for confusion, just a deadline and a threat. Rachel won't just sit back and accept that. She starts searching, piecing together anything she can about the curse. Eventually, she finds mention of a ritual, dangerous, risky, but maybe her last shot to break free. This is it. Either she does nothing or she fights. She chooses the fight, knowing she'll pay for it. While everyone else fusses over flowers and music, Rachel secretly gathers what she needs for the ritual. The difference between these two worlds couldn't be starker. Outside, it's all tradition and pretty dresses. Inside, it's pure desperation. The ritual demands a sacrifice, something physical. When she finishes, she's not the same. The effort drains her, marks her, but it also gives her a sense of control she's never had. Rachel steps forward to share her vows, and for once she lets go of the urge to control the unknown, just stands there and admits it. She says death's the only thing in life you can count on, then throws even that certainty out the window. She admits she believes Nikki is her soulmate, not because she's sure, but because she chooses to believe. Her words feel like letting go and fighting back at the same time. Nikki tries to follow, but falls apart right out of the gate. He fumbles his vows, calls them pointless, almost like he wrote them without any real meaning. You can see the panic hit. He backs away from the altar and refuses to go on. He can't say, I do. The wedding falls apart before everyone's eyes. And in all that chaos, Rachel suddenly gets it, something terrible about Nikki. He never believed in her, never believed in the curse, and never really believed in them. Suddenly, their relationship just shatters for her. She sees him as a stranger, completely lost in a world he never understood. And then the sun disappears. The curse kicks in instantly. The Cunningham bloodline starts to die right there. Bleeding begins, then violent hemorrhaging from eyes, mouths, everywhere. Victoria, Portia, the rest of the family, they all collapse at the altar. The wedding turns into a massacre in seconds. Only Nikki, Boris, and Jules make it out unharmed since they weren't part of the ceremony. Nikki's left stunned, empty, clutching a teddy bear as his whole world crumbles. He's got nothing left, just shock. Rachel dies from the same hemorrhage as the others, but her story refuses to end there. Instead of finally letting her go, the curse changes her. She becomes the new witness, doomed to watch every cursed wedding that'll ever come for the Cunninghams. When Nikki begs her in those last moments, she doesn't respond. He's already lost to his pain, and she's already moved on. TGE season wraps with Rachel getting into the witness's old truck. Just married is scrawled across the back. She drives away from the estate, not a survivor, but someone woven into the curse, forever watching the cycles she can't break.